Two instructors, same level of experience. One is said to be a good instructor and the other one not so good of an instructor. Why? Well, we're going to find out in a minute. Hi pilots and aviation lover, welcome to our channel where we motivate and inspire future aviators. My name is Kanu and you are watching Nima Pilot, the Pride of Liberia. Alright guys, if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you are notified when we upload new videos. Just for us to be on the same page, this is not a how to do video, okay? If you have not yet done so, we encourage you to go back and watch our introductory video where we introduce the channel and what this channel is all about, okay? I'm working on my C.F.I, my Certified Flying Instructor Certificate. So I'm doing self-study now. So I thought the best way to study and also help the community is to make this video and post it. So I am relying on your comments, on your critiques, so that I will better myself. And while doing that, if you are working on your C.F.I, you can kind of get an idea of where to start and how to start. And if you are a C.F.I, you know what I'm talking about. I'm relying on your critiques and your comment. Please let it be constructive. Why is it that those two instructors with the same experience level of training are being categorized in two different categories? Well, that is where we will be starting. This is where we will be starting today. The first tax in the F.O.I is tax A, and the topic of that tax A is the human behavior and effective communication. The first one on their list is called the definition of human behavior. Let us define human behavior. So the FAA has given us three good definitions, but to me, one of the definitions really stand out. Okay, that is the one I think is this foundation or the umbrella to all of the other definition, and that definition is that human behavior is an attempt to satisfy certain needs. Human behavior is an attempt to satisfy certain needs. Where we say, what needs are we trying to satisfy? Okay, what it's saying is that people behave depending on what their needs are, okay, or what their need is. Okay, so what needs are we talking about? Well, we can't look too far, right? There has been an extensive research done on this topic, and the one we're going to be diving into today is the one again given in the aviation instructor handbook. It's called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And what is this is that the Maslow hierarchy of needs state that the human basic needs has to be met in order to get their full attention. We're going to get deep into that. Well, the first needs on that list is their physiological need, pretty much their biological needs, right? The needs to what? To breathe is very important. The needs to eat, right? The needs to sleep, right? The needs to maintain the human body. All of this need has to be met in order to be fully comfortable and fully attentive, right? And the thing is, all of this need, step by step, one has to be activated. One has to be met before the other one is activated. So for example, your biological needs, okay? Sorry, my board is need 1, need 2, need 3, need 4, and so forth. Okay, the first need has to be met in order to think about the second need. Okay, the first need we've gone over is your biological need, the need to breathe, the need to. So, for example of that would be this: a person boarded their plane, they boarded late, they didn't have the opportunity to go to the bathroom. When they got on the plane, thinking that they're about to go to the bathroom, there is a line. Well, by the time that line is time for him to go to the bathroom, it's time for the flight attendant to what? Give the safety briefing. Do you think that person is going to be listening to that flight attendant? I don't think so. Why? Because the only thing on their mind right at that moment is what? The need to meet their physiological need, right? The need to go to the bathroom, the needs to maintain their body, maintenance of their human body. So they have to go ease themselves, right? They have to go pee. In order for that person to fully listen to their person, they have to take care of their needs. And the second need here is safety and security. Well, we all have the sense of safety and security. Let's say you walk in my house and my ceiling is looks like it's about to fall, and we're sitting in the living room talking. Your attention will be divided, right? 95% of your attention will be at the ceiling, yeah, making sure that it doesn't fall on you. So 5% of what 95% of what I'm talking, you're not listening to it, right? So come to the aviation part of it. As a flight instructor, if the student doesn't feel safe and secure with you, he won't have time to listen to what you are trying to teach him while flying. So if you're a flight instructor and every single mistake the student does, you grab the yoke, the student will feel like you are so he won't feel safe with you. The third one here is belonging, sense of belonging. Okay, so as a flight instructor, we need to make our student welcome. We need to make our student feel like they fit in the aviation world. We need to make our student feel like, yes, you are here to learn and you belong in this school. Okay, don't be that flight instructor who, for some apparent reason, have a certain group of students that they like, and then the other student, they don't want to hang out with their student, but yet you're hanging out with the other student. So that person will feel like he or she doesn't belong. So you have to be aware of that and not, give those students a sense of not belonging. The third one here is esteem. Okay, if a flight instructor is having someone group he likes, some group he doesn't like, some group he like to hang out with the most, and the other one he doesn't like to, why? Guess what? The one that he doesn't like to hang out with or doesn't like to do ground with, he doesn't like to fly with, their self-esteem, the fact that they don't feel that they belong, their self-esteem might be, destroyed. Okay, so we as a flying instructor, our job is what? Is to teach, is to help students learn, and having a low self-esteem will not encourage learning. So we should try to avoid that. The fourth one here will kind of merge in with self-esteem. It's self-actualization. Actualization. Yeah, self-actualization. And what that is pretty much self-concept. What do you think of yourself? Do you think of yourself as a doctor, as a nurse, as an electrician, as a pilot? Like, if you think of yourself like you were born to do this, this is a high self-esteem that will encourage you to what? Go or work hard towards your dream. Again, this is personal, but as a flight instructor, our job here is to what? Help the student build up their confidence, help the student build up their self-esteem so that we can encourage them to learn. Okay, so then that's about it. And then the next one is defense mechanism. Well, defense mechanism is part of human being day-to-day life. Okay, the first thing when someone attack you, the first thing is human nature is to defend yourself. So you will have different students. You have a lot of students, right? Coming from different walks of life, different attitude. Okay, so as a flight instructor, we need to be aware of these defense mechanisms. I mean, you've been through it as a flight instructor. You have exhibited some of these mechanisms. So how can we help our student cross that barrier? How can we help our student take responsibility? Okay, all of this defense mechanism is to what? Not take the student is pretty much pushing their fault or their responsibility on something or someone else. So the first one on here is denial. We do not want to face reality. Okay, let's say this student is coming into land. As a good instructor, you are relaxed, watching the student, okay, assessing the student, and then you see that the student is drifting. He's drifting. He's not correcting for his drift. Well, unknown to him, he's over the side of the runway. So again, as a good instructor, you come in right at a time. It's not like rushing on the yoke. You came in right at a time, calmly control your take over the plane, bring it back on the runway, and land it. Okay, and land the plane. But after landing, you're trying to talk to the student about, oh man, you almost landed in the grass. You need to be watchful for turning tendency. You know, when at low airspeed, you have two things working against you. You have wind that is pushing you. You have turning tendency that is pushing you to the left, especially if this wind is coming from the right. So you need to be able to control, drop your wing, and step on the right rudder to combat the turning tendency. Okay, but guess what? The student is in denial of the fact that he almost landed on the grass. Okay, as a flying instructor, well, you don't need to go back and forth with him. Make sure that your point is something across, and make sure and bring it to his attention, and make sure that the two of you can, you know, come to one conclusion to say, okay, next time I'm going to work on it. In the first place, the first thing the student is supposed to say is, hey, I'm going to work on it, instead of being in denial. The next thing here is repression. And repression is pretty much trying to squeeze bad memory, something that you don't want to remember. Okay, you have a fear of flight, but you really want to become a pilot. You have fear of height, but you really want to become a pilot. Okay, you're not bringing it to the instructor attention, but instead you want to put it into your memory, that your long-term memory, to actually to forget about the fear of flight. There's repression. And the next thing here is displacement. And what displacement is, it's like, okay, it's like taking your frustration on someone that you know will not fire back at you. Does that make sense? Let's say, for example, you have a bad day at work, or you have a bad day flight training day. You instead of taking that frustration on yourself, or instead of saying, man, I need to study more, or talking to your instructor about it, you think that if you bring it to your instructor attention, he or she is going to react to it that will even mess you up more. Instead, you leave it, you kept quiet. When you got home, you take it out on your spouse. That's what displacement. Rationalization. You rationalize everything. There's a reason for everything. The student is not realizing, oh, okay, I have to take control, or I have to take responsibility. It's kind of like a defense mechanism. Is a reason for why this happened. Again, for the example I gave you earlier, instead of the student saying, yes, I'm going to take responsibility for this, I'm going to correct for winds next time we flying, he is saying, oh, the wind was too strong, I told you I don't want it to fly today, oh, I'm not feeling good today, oh, I'm not paying attention today. Yes, he is having reason for everything that's happening to him. Fantasy, well, fantasy is pretty much daydreaming. Okay, and to an extent, I think it should be used as a point of motivation. I would say, okay, you want to be a pilot. You thinking of seeing yourself one day in Piper Warrior. You seeing yourself one day doing your solo. You seeing yourself one day taking your check ride and passing your check ride and becoming a private pilot. That is a motivation. But like I said, to an extent. Now, if you are daydreaming, you are, well, number one, you're not a pilot yet. Number two, you're not in the flight school yet. Number three, you have no idea where to start from. But yet, you're dreaming, you're seeing yourself as a Boeing 747 pilot. What you need to do is start from where you are. Let's say you're already in a flight school. Start from where? Start dreaming about you doing your first solo. After you do that, you dream about you doing your check ride and getting your private pilot. Step at a time. Okay? And then the next one here is compensation. Compensation is pretty much is a defense mechanism that a student uses to compensate, to pay themselves or to tap themselves on the back for something they did wrong. The same example I gave you guys earlier, coming into learn, and the student is messing, their learning was messed up, right? But earlier when you guys were doing the air work, his stall and power on stall and steep turn was good. Now, when you brought the fact that his landing was not good, he tried to compensate for that bad landing. Okay, he will say something like, well, my steep turn and power off stall was good. No, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about your landing. So he was trying to defend himself by bringing in what he did good. And the other one here is projection. Projection is pretty much blaming everything on something or someone. For example, the example I gave earlier, the guy who almost landed on the grass. When the C.F.I, when the flight instructors tried to bring it to his attention, he'll say something like, man, right into my flare, the ATC came on and was talking to someone else, so I got distracted. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to correct for the wind and I'm going to use right rudder the next time, he is blaming it on someone. And the other one is, last one here is reaction formation. Reaction formation is pretty much pretending. Okay? You pretending that you don't care what people are saying about you, but deep down in your heart, you do care. There's a reaction formation. So now we move to student emotional reactions. Okay, when we talk about emotional reaction, there are two things as a flight instructor we need to be aware of. We need to be aware of anxiety, and we need to be aware of stress. Okay, and we're going to talk about this thing abnormal, because stress and anxiety is part of human being life. Okay, you always feel anxious, you always feel stressed, but to a certain point. Okay, you don't want to have stress that will cause your heart rate to be beating fast. That's abnormal stress. You don't want to have stress that will cause you to do things that you would not normally do. That's a normal stress. So things like coming into lane, you see the students smiling to themselves, shaking their wrist. All of those things are signs or symptoms of abnormal stress. The next thing here is the basic element of communication. We come to the basic element of communication, the communication part of this. Okay. Again, earlier I stated that the good instructor could be good at communicating, and the other one could be not good at communicating. There are three elements to communication. There are source, there are symbols, and there are receivers, right? The source is the person who is communicating, you, the instructor. You are the source. The symbol is what you are using, or the words you are using, or symbols you are using to communicate your idea to the receiver, right? Let's say, for example, I'm talking to, as a flight instructor, we're talking about steep turn or turns, okay? I'm using Myros plane to show the attitude of the aircraft in a turn. I'm using, that's my symbol I'm using to communicate to the receiver. Again, the receiver here is what? Is the student. Okay? The person who is listening to you is the receiver. And go to the next one is barrier to effective communication. What blocked effective communication? What blocked communication as a whole? Okay, the FAA has listed a couple of things that block communication, and the acronym we're going to use is CORL. The C here is confusion. Okay, confusion between the symbol and the receiver. Okay, confusion between the source and the receiver, and that confusion will come from the symbol, the words they are using, the things they are using to communicate to you. The next one is overuse of abstraction. What does this mean? I'm talking to you, and you are not a flight student. You're not into aviation. You're just watching this video, and all the time you see me when I'm talking to you, I'm using CORL and going on. CORL is core. What is core here? You don't know. So core can stand for so many different things. Okay? So again, coming to you, I have to be able to speak at a level or in a language that you understand. Okay? Not just throwing words out there that could mean a million of things. Okay? That's core. And this I here is interference. Okay? Interference comes in many different ways. I don't know if you heard when I'm talking to you, you'll see cars driving by and you'll hear the noise. There's interference that could interfere with my audio and block my message from you guys hearing it clearer. When it comes to the aviation environment, okay, interference can come from, let's say for example, you're out there trying to do a walk around and teaching the student. There's someone out there mowing their lawn. Their lawnmower sound can be so noisy and that person cannot hear you. Let's say for example you're up in the air trying to teach a student and the intercom system is messed up. The student cannot hear you. That will interfere with what you're trying to teach them. Okay, and the L is lack of common experience. You do not, you don't have the same experience as your student. You haven't gone through, the student haven't gone through the C.F.I. Training. So why are you talking to them about it when they are still in private pilot level? Okay, lack of common experience. Okay, the last thing on here is developing communication skills. Communication is a skill that needs to be developed. It's not something out of the blue. You are so good at it. Okay? You need to develop communication skill. And how do you develop your communication skill as a C.F.I? As anyone, the first thing is be able to be a good listener. Okay, learn to listen to your student, learn to understand what your student is trying to accomplish. In that way, you will be able to effectively communicate to them. And again, questioning. Okay, how do you start communication with your student? Start coming out with a good question that will start your conversation. And again, the last one in that book, they say role playing, and role playing will be trying to, see that you and your student are on the same page. Okay, you guys talk about on the ground, you're talking about turns. Okay, you as a C.F.I, you talk to them about turn, in order to kind of like have the guarantee that the both of you guys are on the same page. You tell the student, okay, now I'm the student, you the instructor, explain this to me. Now that is a role playing when they talk about when they talk about role playing. Okay guys, that's about it. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Again, if you are new and you have not yet done so, please subscribe to our channel. For C.F.Is, I'm open to critiques, please, as long as it is a constructive critiques. I'm open to it. And if you have any question, guys, please leave the question below. That's about it. I will see you guys in the next video. But until next time, have fun flying, stay proficient, stay current, and always remember to keep the blue sky up.